Rudolf Gehlen was a young man, full of fire and ambition. It was the year 1933, and Germany was undergoing a profound transformation. Adolf Hitler, with his promises of a new dawn, captivated Rudolf. He saw strength, he saw purpose. The Führer's words resonated deeply within his eager mind. He devoured the propaganda, marched in the parades, his eyes shining with conviction, reflecting the banners and the fervent hope of a nation in turmoil. He felt part of something grand, something destined to reshape the world, and he was keen to play his part in this monumental transformation. His intelligence was sharp, a keen blade. Teachers had always noted his quick mind, his ability to absorb information like a sponge and analyze situations with chilling clarity. This intellect did not go unnoticed by those in power. The Nazi Party was always on the lookout for talent, seeking out the brightest and most committed. Rudolf, with his unwavering loyalty and sharp intellect, was a prime candidate for something more significant. He wasn't just another face in the crowd, he possessed a rare combination of zeal and mental acuity that set him apart. The party offered him opportunities, and he seized them eagerly. He rose through the youth ranks, dedicated and eager, his commitment absolute, or so it seemed. He spoke eloquently about the new Germany, defending its ideals with a passion that was both inspiring and to some slightly unsettling. He saw no flaws, only a glorious future. The darkness gathering at the regime's edges was invisible to him, or perhaps he chose not to see it, blinded by the bright promises of a revitalized fatherland. His family background was unremarkable. They were ordinary people, yet Rudolf aspired to be extraordinary. He craved significance, and the Nazi regime offered a path to this, a path paved with ideology and ambition. He walked it willingly, his youthful enthusiasm masking any potential doubts. He was a product of his time, shaped by the powerful currents of nationalism and the promise of restored national pride. The intricate web of espionage was still a distant concept, but the seeds of a life lived in shadows were perhaps already being sown in his fervent heart. The call came unexpectedly, a discreet summons. A man in a plain suit met him, speaking of service and duty to the fatherland, a higher calling. This was not the party's usual rhetoric. This was something different, something secret. Rudolf listened intently, his mind racing. The man represented the Abwehr, German military intelligence. They needed men like Rudolf, intelligent, loyal, capable of operating in the shadows, unseen and unheard. His recruitment was swift, almost seamless. He underwent rigorous training, learning codes, surveillance techniques, and how to live a lie. His instructors were impressed by his natural talent for this clandestine world. He absorbed the craft of espionage with unnerving ease, the tradecraft coming to him as if he were born to it. He could blend into any crowd, adopt any persona. The thrill of this new world, a world of secrets and deception, began to grip him, a subtle addiction taking root. The Abwehr was a complex organization, a nest of vipers and patriots. Admiral Canaris, its enigmatic leader, navigated treacherous political waters. Rudolf was a small cog in this vast machine, but an efficient one. He was a reliable operative, understanding the importance of discretion and the stakes involved. He was taught that information was power, and gathering it was a sacred trust for the Reich. His loyalty was now pledged not just to the party, but to this shadowy arm of the military. His inner world began to shift. The black and white certainties of his earlier beliefs started to encounter shades of grey. The world of intelligence was not about grand speeches, but whispered conversations, stolen documents, betrayal and survival. He saw the pragmatic, often brutal realities behind the glorious facade of the Reich. This new perspective was unsettling, yet also strangely liberating. He was no longer just a believer. He was becoming a player in a much larger, more dangerous game than he had ever imagined. The assignment was audacious, perilous. Rudolf was to go to Britain, to operate in the heart of the enemy, London, the sprawling, defiant city. His mission was to gather intelligence on British war preparations, identify key military installations, and report on public morale. It was a task that would test all his skills, all his resolve. The Abwehr had high expectations for him. Failure was not an option they entertained, and Rudolf understood this implicitly. He was given a new identity, a carefully constructed persona. He became a neutral businessman, complete with papers and a backstory. Every detail was meticulously planned. He memorized his new life until it felt like his own. He spoke English fluently, with just the right accent, practicing the mannerisms and subtle social cues. He was to become invisible in plain sight, a ghost in the bustling metropolis. The transformation was complete. Rudolf Gehlen, the fervent Nazi, was submerged beneath layers of calculated fiction. The journey itself was fraught with tension. Crossing borders in wartime was a dance with death. Every checkpoint, every suspicious glance could mean exposure. He traveled through neutral countries, a phantom moving across a fractured Europe. He felt the weight of his mission, and also a strange sense of exhilaration. This was the ultimate test, pitting his wits against an entire nation. The stakes were impossibly high, and the thrill of the challenge was a potent drug, pushing him forward despite the constant gnawing fear. Arriving in London was like stepping into another world. The city was on edge, sandbags everywhere, gas masks a common sight. Yet there was a spirit of defiance that surprised him. It was not the cowed nation that propaganda had portrayed. This was a formidable adversary. He set up his modest lodgings and began to weave his web of contacts, starting his silent, watchful existence. A German spy hidden deep within the fabric of wartime London, ready to begin his dangerous work. Rudolf moved through London like a wraith. He observed, he listened, he recorded. His days were a careful ballet of deception. He frequented pubs and cafes, places where conversations flowed freely. He made casual acquaintances, never revealing his true purpose, seeking out individuals with access to information, however minor it might seem. Every snippet, every rumor, was a piece of a larger puzzle he was assembling for his masters back in Berlin. He learned to read the subtle currents of fear and hope that rippled through the city. His intelligence reports were concise and accurate. He detailed troop movements he observed, described the impact of rationing, and noted the locations of new anti-aircraft batteries. He used dead drops and coded messages, the classic tools of the spy. His methods were meticulous, his discipline unwavering. He knew that a single mistake could lead to discovery, to imprisonment, or worse. The constant threat of exposure was a shadow that never left him, sharpening his senses and honing his instincts for survival. There were close calls, moments when his heart pounded in his chest, a suspicious landlord, a police patrol that lingered too long, an unexpected question from a casual contact. Each time he relied on his quick thinking and his carefully crafted persona to deflect suspicion. He learned to control his fear, to project an air of calm confidence even when his nerves were screaming. These near misses only reinforced his caution and made him more adept at navigating the treacherous landscape of espionage. A subtle change began to occur within him. The work was intellectually stimulating, a complex game of chess. But he also saw the human cost of the war firsthand. He saw the determination of the British people, heard the bombs fall, witnessed the resilience in the face of adversity. The clear lines of ideology, once so stark, began to blur. Was the enemy as monstrous as he had been taught? Were his own side's motives as pure? These questions, unspoken and dangerous, started to form in the recesses of his mind. Section 5. Gone without a trace. The London disappearance. One grey morning, Rudolf Gehlen vanished. He simply ceased to exist. His rented room was found empty. His few belongings were gone. There were no signs of struggle, no clues left behind. It was as if he had evaporated into the London fog. His Abwehr handlers waited for his scheduled contact. It never came. Panic began to set in within the German intelligence circles responsible for him. One of their most promising assets in Britain had disappeared off the face of the earth. British counterintelligence, MI5, was equally baffled. They had vague suspicions about a German agent operating in that sector, but they had no name, no face. Suddenly, the whispers stopped. The faint trail went cold. Had he been caught by another agency? Had he been eliminated by his own side, fearing he was compromised? Or had he defected? The possibilities were numerous, each more unsettling than the last. The silence he left behind was deafening, a void in the intricate game of wartime espionage. Theories abounded. Some in Berlin whispered of betrayal. Perhaps he had sold his secrets to the British. Others suggested he had been a double agent all along, a cunning plant by the enemy. A few even speculated that he had simply lost his nerve, unable to cope with the immense pressure of his clandestine life. The truth, however, remained elusive. Rudolf Gehlen became a ghost story, a cautionary tale whispered among spies. His file was marked missing, presumed compromised or defected, a testament to the uncertainty. The war ground on. The fate of one spy, however skilled, became a minor footnote in the grand, brutal narrative of global conflict. Yet for those who knew of him, the mystery of Rudolf Gehlen lingered. What had happened to the intelligent, dedicated operative? How could a man so adept at survival, so skilled in the arts of deception, simply disappear without a trace? His vanishing act was, in its own way, a masterful piece of spycraft, leaving everyone guessing and no one with any concrete answers. Section 6. A Ghost Reborn, the Post-War Metamorphosis. The war ended. Empires crumbled. A new world order began to emerge from the ashes. And then whispers started again. Not in Berlin, but in the bustling corridors of Allied intelligence. A man with extraordinary knowledge of German intelligence networks had surfaced. He offered information. He offered expertise. His name was not Rudolf Gehlen. He had a new identity, a new past. But his skills were undeniable, his insights invaluable to the victors now facing a new, colder conflict. He claimed to have become disillusioned with the Nazi regime long before its collapse. He spoke of inner conflict, of a moral awakening. Was it true? Or was it a carefully constructed narrative designed for survival in a post-Nazi world? His new handlers were wary. They were intrigued. They tested him. They cross-examined him. He remained calm, his answers consistent, his knowledge deep and verifiable. He knew the players, the methods, the secrets of the Third Reich's intelligence apparatus. He began to work for the Americans. Or perhaps it was the British, or both. The lines were blurred in the chaotic aftermath of the war. Loyalties were fluid. Enemies became temporary allies. He helped them identify former Nazi agents. He helped them understand Soviet intelligence operations. He was a valuable asset, a turnkey to a world of shadows they were only beginning to comprehend. His past as a Nazi operative was a stain, but his present utility was too great to ignore. His transformation was remarkable. From a fervent believer in Hitler's vision, he had become a pragmatic operative serving those who had defeated his former masters. Was it cynical opportunism? Or was it a genuine change of heart, a desperate attempt to atone for past allegiances? He never spoke of his motivations in deeply personal terms. He focused on the work, on the intricate dance of espionage. The man once known as Rudolf Gehlen was now a different entity, a ghost reborn in the service of new masters. Section 7. The Cold War's Phantom, a Master of Disguise. The Iron Curtain descended across Europe. A new kind of war began, a war fought with secrets and spies. Rudolf, or whatever name he used now, thrived in this environment. His skills, honed in the crucible of World War II, were perfectly suited to the shadowy battlegrounds of the Cold War. He moved effortlessly between East and West, a phantom crossing ideological divides. His network of contacts was extensive, his understanding of espionage profound. He became a legend in the clandestine community, a ghost whispered about in hushed tones. He operated under numerous identities: a Swiss banker, an Austrian journalist, a French academic. Each persona was flawless, supported by impeccable documentation and a believable backstory. He changed his appearance, his mannerisms, even his accent with chameleon-like ease. He was a master of disguise, not just of his physical form, but of his very essence. One could meet him and never suspect the depths of experience and the layers of deception that lay beneath the surface. His versatility was his greatest weapon. His contributions were significant, though largely unrecorded in official histories. He provided intelligence that allegedly thwarted Soviet plots. He helped recruit agents in Eastern Europe. He advised on counter-espionage strategies. He seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. His loyalty was a shifting concept, perhaps pledged only to the game itself or to some personal code that remained inscrutable to those who employed him. He served different masters, yet he always seemed to serve his own mysterious agenda first and foremost. The allure of espionage, the thrill of the secret life, seemed to be his driving force. He was not motivated by ideology, not anymore. The fervent beliefs of his youth had long since dissolved. What remained was a consummate professional, a craftsman dedicated to the art of intelligence. He navigated the treacherous currents of the Cold War with a detached expertise. A puppet master pulling strings from the shadows, his true face always hidden, his ultimate allegiance a perpetual question mark. Section 8. The Man Who Wasn't There. Unraveling the Identity. Who was Rudolf Gehlen? The question echoed through intelligence agencies for decades. Was he the ardent Nazi youth who once believed in Hitler's dream? Was he the coolly efficient Abwehr spy in wartime London? Was he the pragmatic informant who sold secrets to the Allies after the war? Or was he the master manipulator who played all sides during the Cold War? Each identity seemed plausible, yet none captured the entirety of the man. He was a collection of masks, and the true face beneath remained stubbornly hidden. Investigators tried to piece together his life. They pored over old files. They interviewed former colleagues and adversaries. But the trail was deliberately convoluted, full of dead ends and false leads. He had expertly covered his tracks, erasing his past as he moved from one identity to another. Each layer of deception was expertly crafted, designed to protect the core, if such a core even existed. He was a human enigma, a puzzle with too many missing pieces, or perhaps too many deliberately misleading ones. The inner conflict he must have experienced was immense. To switch loyalties so completely, to betray former comrades, to live a life built on perpetual lies, it must have taken a toll. Yet he showed no outward signs of strain. He was always composed, always in control. Did he reconcile his past with his present? Did he find some justification for his actions? Or did he simply compartmentalize, sealing off parts of his life from each other? These were questions that could only be answered by the man himself, and he wasn't talking. His versatility was his shield. By being so many different people, he was, in essence, no one at all. He was a reflection of what others wanted to see, or what the situation demanded. The original Rudolf Gehlen, if such a person had a fixed identity, was lost somewhere along the journey. What remained was a legend, a spy whose true self was perhaps the greatest secret he ever kept. The mystery of his identity became as much a part of his legacy as any intelligence operation he conducted. Section 9. An Enduring Enigma. The Legacy of Rudolf Gehlen. Rudolf Gehlen, or the man known by that name and many others, eventually faded from the active world of espionage. Some say he retired quietly, living out his days in anonymous comfort. Others believe he met a violent end, a final reckoning for a life lived in the shadows. There were no official announcements, no obituaries that could be trusted. Like his disappearance from London years before, his final exit from the world stage was shrouded in mystery, a fitting end for a man who was more mirage than substance. His contribution to multiple intelligence services is undeniable, though morally ambiguous. He served the Nazis. He served the Allies. He played a role in the Cold War, his actions influencing events in ways that may never be fully understood. Was he a traitor, a patriot, a pragmatist, or simply a supremely skilled opportunist? The answer likely depends on one's perspective, and on which of his many faces one chooses to believe was the most genuine. He was a tool, a weapon, and a player all in one. The themes of loyalty and identity are central to his story. His journey highlights the fluid nature of allegiance in the brutal world of espionage, where survival often trumps ideology. His ability to shed identities, to become someone new, raises profound questions about the nature of self. Was there a core Rudolf Gehlen, or was he merely a composite of the roles he played? The allure of espionage, its dangerous freedom and its demand for constant reinvention, clearly captivated him, shaping his entire existence into a complex performance. The unresolved mystery of his true identity ensures his place in the annals of spy lore. He remains an enigma, a testament to the human capacity for deception and transformation. His story is a chilling reminder of the dark complexities of intelligence work and the profound personal costs for those who choose to live a life in the shadows. Rudolf Gehlen, the spy who was everyone and no one, continues to fascinate and mystify, his unbelievable journey a stark illustration of the hidden undercurrents of history. His legend, like a whisper in the archives, endures,